Hi, second grade. This is Miss Weiss. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to do a math lesson for Friday, April 17th, 2020. This is day 13 in your work packets. We are going to start with some fluency. This is just like the sprints you have been doing. So right now, I want you to pause the video and take a minute to answer these questions. Remember, when it's a sprint, we want to go as fast as we can. Try to do mental math. Now let's go over the answers. 19 minus 9 is 10. We're taking away all the ones. 15 minus 6. This one's a little bit trickier because we have to unbundle. The answer is 9. 15 minus 7. 8. If you're getting these right, great job. 15 minus 9. 6. 20 minus 10. 10. 14 minus 5. 9. I did this one mentally because I knew that 14 minus 4 would be 10, and you take away one more would be 9. 14 minus 6 is 8. I knew that if 14 minus 5 was 9, then 14 minus 6 would have to be 8. Let's keep going. 14 minus 7 is 7. I know that's one of our doubles facts. 7 plus 7 equals 14. 14 minus 9 is 5. We just did a similar equation over here, but we changed the part we were taking away. 15 minus 5 is going to be 10. We're taking away all the ones. 17 minus 8 is going to be 9. We're taking away 8 ones and we only have 7, so we're going to have to unbundle. 17 minus 9 is 8. Here again, we're just changing the part that we took away. These two equations are related. 18 minus 8 is 10. We took away all the ones. 16 minus 7 is 9. Way to go. Let's keep on going with our lesson. Now we are going to look at one of your problems of the day. This is in your packet, so if you don't have your packet out, you should get it out so you can follow it along. You can pause the video until you're ready. Let's read the problem together. The total length of a red string and a purple string is 73 centimeters. I remember that we can abbreviate centimeters with a C and an M, just like that. The red string is 18 centimeters long. How long is the purple string? Now let's take a look at our organizer and see what we can fill in. The first box says, what do we know? What is the important information? So we know that the red string and the purple string is 73 centimeters. So I'm going to write red. I'm going to write an R for red and purple. Red plus purple, P for purple, equals 73. And I'm not just going to write 73. I want to make sure that I include the unit. So 73 centimeters. And then I also know that the red string, R for red, is 18 centimeters. So that's another piece of important information I want to make sure that I mark down. Now let's look at the next question. What are we trying to find? What is the question? What is the unit? Take a minute to think. You can pause the video while you think about what the question is asking. The question is asking, how long is the purple string? So I'm going to write purple. I'm going to write a P for purple. And I'm going to write purple length. And put a question mark because that's what we are trying to find out. And we know our unit is centimeters. We just talked about that. Let's look at our next box. How will we use the information to solve the problem? Here's where I want you to think about if you are going to be adding or subtracting and what equation you will write to solve this problem. I find it helpful to think about if we know the whole or if we know the parts. So to help me think about it, I'm going to draw a quick number bond. And I'm going to see if I can fill it in using the important information from the box above. Pause the video for a minute and think about how you would fill in our number bond. Do we know the whole? Do we know the parts? Do we know a whole and a part? Take a minute to think. I am going to fill in 73 as our whole because we know that the red and the purple strings together are 73. That's the total length. And then I'm going to fill in 18 as one of our parts because we know that the red string is 18. That means that we are missing the other part. When we are missing a part, it means that we subtract. So the equation I am going to write to solve is 73 centimeters minus 18 centimeters. And I'm going to write my equation vertically because I can already tell that I am going to have to unbundle because I don't have enough ones to take away. So I'm going to write it vertically like that. Now I want you to finish solving the problem. Make sure that you write your answer in a full sentence using centimeters as your units and send a picture to your teacher. I know that in your packets, you have been practicing writing the time that you see on clocks. I wanted us to take some time today to talk about time because I know that a lot of us are not used to telling time using clocks. So the first important thing to know about time is that there is 24 hours in every single day. But it can be a little confusing when looking at a clock because a clock only has 12 hours on it. That's because in the United States, where we all live, we have AM and PM, which we'll talk more about later. But that means that there are 12 hours in the morning and 12 hours in the afternoon. 12 plus 12 is 24. So there are 24 hours in every day. And that means that on a clock, the hour hand goes around the entire clock twice. There are also 60 minutes in an hour. Now, this is also a little bit tricky because we're so used to thinking that 10 and 100 are the special math numbers. But when it comes to telling time, 24 is a special math number for that, and so is 60. There are 60 minutes in an hour. There are also 60 seconds in a minute, but we're not going to talk about that yet. On an analog clock, the circular clock that you often see on walls, not like a digital clock on your watch, on an analog clock, we mark time by 5-minute increments. This is the picture of an empty analog clock. Together, we are going to fill in the hours on this analog clock. As we just talked about, there are 12 hours on a clock. We are going to start at the top. The first hour you see, it's a little confusing, but it's 12. And we know that the hours are marked by these thicker black lines, not the thin black lines. So there's 12. Next, we're going to come to 1, 2. You can help me count as I go. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and now we're back to 12. Now with the hours in, this should look more like clocks you may have seen before. Now here is a picture of a clock that has the hours on it. Now we're going to take some time to fill in the minutes because these numbers that we just made on the last clock and that we see here tell us the hours. They don't tell us the minutes. The minutes are counted by these small little lines. So every single one of these small little lines is a minute. So right here is 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So right here where it shows 1, it's also 5 minutes. We're just going to mark our minutes in 5-minute increments. Now I know you guys are all really good at counting by 5, so that's going to come into handy. So we're at 5 minutes. Let's keep counting. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This next thick black line is 10 minutes. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. When we get to the 3, it's 15 minutes, which people also say is a quarter after. We'll talk about that more on another day. 16 minutes, 17 minutes, 18 minutes, 19 minutes, 20 minutes. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 minutes. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. There's not enough room, so I'm going to write 30 right here. Now we know that 30 is half of 60. 3 tens is half of 6 tens. 30 is half of 60. And since there are 60 minutes in an hour, we get to 30 when we are halfway around the clock. So at 6, it's been 30 minutes. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. At 7, we're at 35 minutes. 36, 37, 38, 39, 40 minutes. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. At the 9, we're at 45, and this we also say a quarter till, and we'll talk about that more on another lesson. 46, 47, 48, 49, 50 minutes. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55 minutes. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. So when we get back to 12, we're at 60 minutes, but we don't say 60 minutes. This is where we would say a clock, and we would use 2 zeros because that means that we're going to start a new hour. 60 minutes have passed, and we're ready to start a new hour. So that's when we would say a clock. Now that we've talked about how hours and minutes work on a clock, we are going to talk about how we actually tell the time. Besides the numbers on the clock, there are 2 other very important things to tell time. The first is what's called the hour hand. The hour hand is what tells you what hour of the day it is. The hour hand is smaller than the minute hand. In this picture, you can see that the hour hand is red. The minute hand is the longer one. In this picture, it's blue. The first step to telling time is to look at this small hand called the hour hand. And you look at the last number that the hour hand passed. This is so important because sometimes the hour hand will be in between 2 numbers. It can be hard to tell which hour it is, so you need to go back to the number that comes before. So for example, in this picture, the hour hand is in between the 9 and the 10. So that means that it would be 9, and then we'll talk about the minute. The hour is 9 because it's in between the 9 and the 10, and 9 comes first. After you look at the small hand, the hour hand, to figure out what hour it is, you look at the bigger hand, the minute hand. You start at the 12, just like we did, and you count by 5s. So let's do that together. We're starting with 0, then we get to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So in this picture, 30 minutes have passed. And since the hour is 9, we would say that it is 9:30. 9:30. 9:30. So this clock is showing 9:30. 9 hours, 30 minutes. Now let's see if we can practice telling time together. Let's look at this first clock together. Remember, we start by looking at the smaller hand, the hour hand. Now looking at this smaller hour hand, I see that it's in between the 10 and the 11. I know that we have to go back to the hour that comes first, that came before. So I'm going to say 10. Then I put 2 dots before putting the minutes. We're going to count by fives. But remember, 12 is the same as 0 minutes. So I'm not going to start counting by 5 until I get to 1. 5, 10, 15. This clock shows 10:15. Pause the video and see if you can do the next clock by yourself. Let's go over it together. I'm going to start by looking at the short hour hand. I see that it's in between the 4 and the 5. Is it 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock? I'm going to go back to the hour that came before. So it is going to be 4 something. I'm going to put my 2 dots again. And then we're going to count by fives. You can also start counting at 0 and count every minute, but it takes longer. We can practice that once though. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This clock shows 4:10. 4 hours, 10 minutes. Pause the video and try to do the third clock by yourself, and then we'll go over it together. Again, I see that the hour hand, the first hand we look at, the short one, is in between 10 and 11. I know that I always go to the hour that came before, so I'm going to write down 10. Now I can look at the long minute hand. I can count by ones, every single little line, or I can count by fives, these bigger lines. I know that counting by fives is going to be faster, so I'm going to do it that way. But I need to remember that at 12, it's 0 minutes. So I don't start counting by fives until I get to the 1. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. So this clock shows 10:30. I also know that makes sense because I see that my minute hand here is halfway around the clock, and 30 is half of 60. Great job telling time today. Today in your packet, you're going to get to continue practicing telling time. Remember that the shorter hand is always the hour hand, and the longer hand is always the minute hand. So if you're drawing the time onto a clock, make sure that you make the hour hand shorter and the minute hand longer. Great job, and make sure to send your teacher pictures of your work.